In this futuristic movie, solar flares have destroyed the Earth and reduced it to a radioactive desert. 99% of the human population has been wiped out, and the remaining 21 million survivors live in safe cities. A corporation called Automata creates humanoid robots called the Automata Pilgrim 7000s. These robots, designed to withstand severe atmospheric conditions, build walls and mechanical clouds to protect the cities from radiation. These robots have been developed with two unchangeable security protocols. The first protocol forbids them from harming any form of life, and the second protocol prevents them from repairing, modifying, or altering themselves or any other robot. Initially, these robots are assumed to be human salvation, but since they are unable to stop desertification, they are ultimately limited to manual labor. As time goes by, the lack of technology and modern commute pushes society backward, where even cars are rarely sighted, and humanity hangs on by a thread, nearing global extinction. As the movie begins, a police officer, Wallace, patrols a rundown ghetto on a rainy evening. In one of the abandoned buildings, he discovers a robot under a pile of trash trying to repair itself. The robot begs for its life, but Wallace kills it for violating the second protocol. In the next scene, we see Jacques Vaucan, an insurance officer from ROC Corporation, working on a case where a family has accused their robot of killing their dog. To put it to the test, Jacques tries to harm himself, but the robot intervenes, implying that it is working fine. After that, Jacques returns home to his pregnant wife Rachel, who wants to get a domestic pilgrim once the baby comes. In the next scene, Jacques is called to the police morgue, where a forensic technician informs him about the malfunctioning robot that Wallace shot the other day as it was self-repairing. On examination, the robot has undergone multiple modifications, though its serial number remains unchanged, implying it to be the work of a skilled clocksmith. As the technician hands over the robot's modified part to Jacques, she believes that the robot was modified to smuggle tools and machine parts, and it lacks the second protocol, after which she hands over a bill addressed to ROC Corporation to pay for the expenses. The next day, Jacques reports his findings to his boss, Robert Bold, but he dismisses them as no pilgrim is manufactured without the second protocol. When Jacques asks to be transferred to the coast since he is burned out, Robert refuses to do so and asks him to find someone accountable for this situation. Afterward, Jacques follows the serial numbers from the self-modifying robot and goes to the wall that separates the city from the desert. Jacques suspects that one of the workers must have altered that robot by using another pilgrim. However, the worker denies those charges and recognizes the stolen parts, saying that they belong to a robot 206, which is still operative. While Jacques investigates the charging station of 206, he notices Unit 206 walk in on him. When it leaves, Jacques decides to follow it through a door with a broken lock, ultimately ending up in a ghetto outside the wall. Since this area is restricted, the wall guards open fire at Jacques, who hides himself in a nearby shipping container. Inside he finds 206, but the robot sets itself on fire. When the charred robot is brought to ROC Labs to see what it was hiding inside, they find smuggled parts and a rare nuclear battery that allows the robot to charge itself indefinitely. The team manages to power up the robot, but when Jacques asks why it set itself on fire, the robot's circuits burn out. This makes Robert mad, and he pins the whole ordeal on Jacques. Since Unit 206 also had a missing second protocol, he couldn't believe that it set itself on fire. A few moments later, Robert gains his composure and asks Jacques to find the clocksmith responsible for these modifications, after which he will transfer Jacques to the coast. Jacques accepts, but when he reaches home, his wife does not take this news too well. In the next scene, Jacques visits the abandoned building where the first robot was shot by Wallace. Searching the area, he happens upon a hidden bag containing a similar nuclear battery. The morning after, he meets Wallace and his partner Ellis, and the former decides to help Jacques as long as he splits the proceedings of the nuclear battery on the black market. Together, they head to a brothel in the ghetto, where they meet the robot Cleo, who is altered to give her clients pleasure or pain as per their will. Wallace is freaked out, so he shoots Cleo in the leg and leaves the building. Jacques disapproves, but Wallace believes that following Cleo will take Jacques to the clocksmith. Then he holds a knife to Jacques' throat, threatening to kill him if he doesn't pay him before being transferred. While Wallace drives away, Jacques waits for Cleo's owner to transport her to the clocksmith for the repairs. He follows closely and finds himself in the workshop of Dr. Susan Dupre, a clocksmith who claims that she is not the one modifying the robots. Jacques shows her the burned CPU from the second robot, which violates the second protocol. Leaving it with her, he promises to give her the rare nuclear battery if she can find out who modified the biokernel, which she installs in Cleo as soon as Jack leaves. Once he's home, Jack sends his report to Robert, but it is intercepted by the security chief, Vernon Conway. He alerts the CEO, Dominic Hawk, who asks him to take care of it. A few moments later, Jack receives two messages, one from ROC announcing the end of his investigation, and the other from Dupree telling him that she found something. Jack visits her lab instantly, where he notices Cleo fixing herself thanks to the biokernel. Suddenly, two kids show up and open fire, killing Dupree instantly. Jack escapes through the back door and jumps into a car deeming it his cab driver, but it's actually Cleo at the steering wheel. They are followed by the assassins in their car, constantly shooting at them until they get to the desert where Cleo drives through a maze of stanchions. Both cars crash, killing the assassins instantly while Jack is injured. The next morning, Jack regains his consciousness and asks Cleo to help him, so she leaves, only to return shortly with 3 other altered robots. As they are dragging Jack away in a car seat, he stops them, ordering them to take him back to the city. But the robots tell him that it is impossible, and they are headed to a safer place. When Jack sees that they are not obeying his orders, he starts walking back on his own, but since the robots still have the first protocol in them, they follow him to prevent his death. When Jack passes out, they feed him worms and even make a condenser to provide water for him. Jack notices that the robots have recovered multiple car parts and nuclear batteries. Meanwhile, Rachel goes into labor and leaves for the hospital. On the other hand, Robert is summoned to ROC headquarters where the CEO and Vernon try to blame Jack for all the altered robots. Robert knows his guy, so he defends Jack, claiming he is loyal to the company. Back in the desert, Jack asks Cleo for the bag with salvaged parts, steals a flare gun, and uses his pager to contact Robert. Robert sends Wallace to recover Jack, so when Jack sees the vehicle in the desert, he uses the flare gun to tell him of his location. He also stops the robots from walking further, even hitting one who wouldn't listen to him. However, when Wallace shows up with Ellis, he instantly attacks Jack and grabs a nuclear battery, throwing it toward Ellis. The robots ask him to stop, so he shoots 2 of them. Before he can shoot Cleo, Jack kills him with the flare gun, scaring Ellis, who drives away. Jack then looks on as the 2 remaining robots salvage as many robot parts they can from the destroyed robots. Then they start walking away, so Jack realizes that they will not be carrying him around anymore. After going through Wallace's pockets, he follows the pilgrims. Later, when they have stopped, Jack offers to give them a nuclear battery, but only if they get him back to the city. Cleo tells him that they will arrive at their destination tomorrow, where he might be able to get a vehicle. Meanwhile, Conway pays Robert a visit at his home, bringing him to Arok, where Dominic explains that the first pilgrim was actually a quantum mind who developed sentience and had no artificial restraints on its intelligence. Before they deactivated it permanently, they had it design the 2 safety protocols that have ever since been used for all the pilgrims. This is the reason no one human can alter the protocols, because AI designed them. Robert is then commissioned to go into the desert with Conway and his men to find and kill Jack and the unknown clocksmith before the altered robots can evolve further beyond human understanding. The next morning, Jacques and the 2 pilgrims reach an abandoned factory where Jacques meets the clocksmith responsible for altering all the robots. Surprisingly, it is also a pilgrim that evolved on its own. Jacques notices all the smuggled parts assembled in a unique model on a table. Later, he finds a worn-out car, but it doesn't work and he loses hope. As he contemplates jumping over a cliff, the clocksmith robot joins him, engaging in philosophical conversation which convinces Jacques that the robot has indeed evolved. It tells him that they will eventually move to the radioactive part of the city where humans can't reach them. The only thing that stops their model from working is the nuclear battery, so Jacques hands it over to it. Later, Jacques drinks and dances with Cleo, while the other robots work on their model. With the nuclear battery, they are finally able to power the animal-like robot. In the next scene, Robert and the convoy come across Wallace's body in the desert. Conway is informed about the arrival of 2 ladies, and when a vehicle shows up with Rachel and her newborn daughter, Robert realizes Conway has kidnapped them. Since he does not approve of them being used as bait to lure Jack, he shoots Conway in the shoulder. In response, all men shoot at him, leaving him wounded on the desert floor. The next morning, Jack wakes up to the sound of an engine. He walks out to find that the robots fixed up the car for him. Thanking them, he leaves for the city, but when he pulls over to throw up, he notices vultures in the sky. Following them, he comes across Robert, who accuses him of betrayal and informs him that Conway has Rachel and his daughter. While Jock rushes back, Conway and his men reach the factory and start shooting the robots. When the clocksmith Pilgrim refuses to obey his orders, Conway shoots it and retrieves its CPU. Just as he is about to kill Cleo, Jack shows up and drives his vehicle toward the men. In that instant, Rachel grabs a knife and stabs one of the men, giving her enough time to jump away while Jack hits the men with his car. Using a shotgun nearby, Jack kills the third henchman and then hides inside the factory, while the animal-like robot distracts Conway. However, Conway manages to find Jack perched on the rooftop. He accuses him of betraying his race, and just as he is about to shoot him, the animal-like robot shows up and pushes Conway from the building, saving Jack's life. Jack assumes that it will attack him next, but it doesn't. Just then, Rachel finds Jack, and he finally meets his daughter for the first time. Cleo also joins them and strokes the crying baby gently, who stops crying. Then Jacques helps Cleo and the animal robot reach the other side of the desert, where no humans can follow them. In the end, Jacques arrives at the coast with his family, and seeing the ocean, he believes that humanity might just survive, as the Earth is healing. With that, the movie ends. Thanks for watching Automata. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Welcome, sci-fi fans. Futurist Flicks is thrilled to launch our exclusive membership program, designed for loyal fans like you. By joining, you'll unlock early access to recap videos, unseen recap videos, raffle prizes, free merch giveaways, exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights, access to community events, live streams, and Q&A sessions. Join the Cosmic Crew today and get instant access to exclusive perks. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more intergalactic adventures.